Hello, my name is Jason Laney. I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist here with the National Weather Service in El Paso, and this web briefing is coming your way on Thursday afternoon, the 21st of February, for a winter storm that'll be unfolding over the course of the next several hours and continuing through Friday, with the main impacts being in the higher terrain of the Gila up in parts of Grant and Sierra counties. At the time that I'm recording this particular web briefing, things are still fairly quiet out there as the storm is really taking its aim on parts of Arizona, but it will be crossing into parts of the Gila region before sunset this afternoon and into this evening. The basic timeline for this storm shows the rain and snow developing late in the afternoon and evening across parts of Grant County, where snow levels will still be a little higher. I'm showing 6,000 feet, possibly even a little higher than that, but falling with sunset and continuing to fall overnight. Speaking overnight, the location of the rain and or snow doesn't really move east that much. It just begins to expand across southwestern New Mexico and intensifying, and that's when we could start to really see decent amounts of snow beginning to accumulate, especially for elevations that include places like Silver City and above that. Then during the day Friday, the rain and snow will spread to the east as snow levels fall rapidly. This will be behind a cold front. Now, this cold front will help bring the precipitation east, but it will also set the stage to end the precipitation by Friday night and early Saturday. However, cold and windy conditions will prevail in the wake of this system, and any snow that's on the ground could still be prone to becoming blowing snow. This, of course, leads us to our worst case scenario out of this storm, and that is one that includes not just heavy snow, but excessive snow, especially across the higher terrain in Grant and Sierra counties, where it is not out of the realm of possibility to see at least a foot of snow, if not more. We're talking possibly up to 18 inches of snow in some areas. Then you factor in those stronger winds I spoke of. That creates blowing snow and reduced visibilities and near, if not blizzard conditions in some cases. So that is further going to complicate especially any kind of travel in the area. And down in the New Mexico Boot Hill, while it will probably be Friday before it happens, especially the higher terrain in the Boot Hill could look at 4 to 6 inches of snow with those strong winds continuing. Now, they're warmer southwest winds this afternoon and evening. However, they will turn into colder west winds on Friday as the cold front traverses the area. Here is a look at the current situation as we have it right now, and I've gone ahead and put in what's happening with the storm itself. The upper level storm is centered over southern parts of Nevada, and it is drawing up tremendous amounts of moisture from the southwest. Now, the moisture focus right now, at least at the time of this recording, was just west of New Mexico, but a few clouds are starting to spread in, and we will see the moisture continue to gather through the evening and especially into overnight tonight. As a result, we now have several winter weather products in place for the evening, including winter storm warnings, generally above 5,500 feet for the higher terrain there of parts of Grant and Sierra County, as well as down into Hidalgo County with the Boot Hill. In between, winter weather advisories for some of the lower elevations. That'll include Lordsburg, possibly Hachita, and also a new winter weather advisory for the higher terrain of the mountains around Cloudcroft, as it looks like those mountains in the Sacramentos will be getting in on the act starting during the day Friday and possibly into Friday night, where we'll also see several inches of snowfall. And speaking of snowfall, here is our latest guess at just how much snow is going to fall and where. Keep in mind, this is a storm total. This is stretched out over the course of about 48 hours, but without a doubt, you can see that the most impactful snows are going to be in that higher terrain. Silver City points north of there, where anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of snow, possibly even up to 18 inches of snow could fall. You get late in the event, Friday evening, Friday night, 4 to 6 inches of snow in the Sacramentos. And of course, there could be light snow anywhere across parts of southern New Mexico and far west Texas, although I anticipate places like Truth or Consequences, Las Cruces, El Paso, Alamogordo, probably looking at just some passing snow showers with little, if any, accumulation to speak of. Now, when it comes to actual snowfall accumulations, elevation is going to play a big part in this as snow levels start off higher and then drop. But for instance, here's a perfect example for Friday during the day. As the system begins to pull out, if you're down around Deming, traveling, say, towards the Silver City area on 180, you'll likely encounter just rain, if anything. But as you climb an elevation towards Bayard and eventually Silver City, you'll see the rain mixing with snow, if not changing over to snow. And if you were to continue to go north, say on Highway 15 towards Pinos Altos, not that far away, but quite a climb in elevation, this is how you would start to see the snow, and most likely will be the case for travelers anywhere around the Silver City area or up in the Gila for the next couple of days. So given the fact that we do have winter storm warnings in the Gila, where we're expecting 12 to 18 inches of snow above 7,000 feet, 6 to 12 inches of snow between 5,500 and 7,000 feet, thought I would give you a few examples here. I've listed the elevations for several areas. Say if you were to travel, say, north along Highway 15 out of Silver City, you would climb an elevation to Pinos Altos. New Mexico 15 has a peak elevation of about 7,500 feet before the junction with New Mexico 35. It goes down, it goes back up, and then back down again just a little bit towards Gila Hot Springs. But you can see how it crosses into the various zones of heavy snowfall accumulation. We can do basically the same thing as far as the elevations and how much snow falls at various elevations for anyone who would say travel to the east of Silver City along Highway 152. Now, I am told that Emery Pass has already been closed, so you won't be able to reach that elevation of 8,000 feet. Probably wouldn't have been able to anyway because of the excessive snowfall that's expected to fall at that elevation. And while obviously leaving Silver City headed to the west and northwest along US Highway 180, elevation drops a little bit, drops below the area that is in our winter storm warning. We're still in our winter weather advisory places like Cliff, Buckhorn, and even if you branch off towards the Mule Creek area, all of these elevations between 4,500 feet, 5,000 feet could still eventually see rain change to snow, especially by Friday morning and during the day Friday, where 2 to 5 inches of snow will be possible. So let's go ahead and see what the computer forecast models are showing us as far as where the precipitation is going to be through a timeline over the next day and a half or so. So I'll start you at 5 p.m. this evening, where stronger southwest winds will be buffeting parts of southwestern New Mexico, and we'll just start seeing the snow and or rain begin to fall, especially across parts of northern Sierra and extreme northern Hidalgo counties. By 11 p.m. tonight, we probably will not see a lot of change into where the actual precipitation is coming down, but we could see an expansion in the intensity of the snow. By this time, I think Silver City, even if we start off with rain, we'll probably see primarily snow beginning to fall, with heavier snows as you go north of Silver City. Continuing on into 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, the same goes. Snow continues in the same locations. However, we're starting to see things expanding in aerial coverage just a little bit. However, the greatest expanse or movement of the precipitation is probably going to start late morning on Friday. That's when the storm itself tries to lift out, and in doing so, it pulls a fairly strong Pacific cold front across the area. Behind the cold front, it stays windy, it turns colder, and snow levels begin to drop. Ahead of it, we start seeing bands of rain push out to places like Truth or Consequences and Deming, which will eventually change to snow as that cold front pushes through. So I would expect by sunset, or at least by 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon or Friday, that we'll see the cold front about halfway through the area, with moderate to light snow continuing behind the front, mostly light rain ahead of it, but the snow's finally beginning to start off a little heavier as you move up into the Sacramento Mountains. And it appears that this front will continue to race its way through, clearing most areas before midnight Friday night, and seeing a general decline in the overall amount of precipitation falling, although it's not out of the realm of possibility to still see a few hit or miss snow showers. but very little in the way of accumulating snow. I think we'll see snow come from the sky, rain changing to snow places like Las Cruces, El Paso, Alamogordo. But the accumulating storms by this snows by this late in the storm will probably be confined to the higher terrain there in Otero County. And by daybreak on Saturday morning, the storm should be just about done. There could still be a few patches of light snow here or there, but windy and much colder out there. Keep in mind, even though the actual snowfall may have stopped, winds still blowing across areas with snow on the ground could still result in quite a bit of blowing snow and reduced visibilities and possibly still near blizzard conditions in some areas. So it's likely going to be later in the day Saturday before things really start to calm down. So here is a recap of the storm and the impacts we're expecting. I've used the word excessive when we talk about the snow, especially in the higher terrain of Grand Sierra counties. Over a foot of snow in many locations, with significant snows up to half a foot, parts of the New Mexico boot heel, and even some snows in between for some of the lowlands there, especially in Hidalgo County. You factor in the wind. Strong winds will accompany the storm ahead of it, during it, and even behind it. That could create near blizzard conditions in some areas, and without a doubt, snow on the roadways, with or without reduced visibilities, will definitely pose an impact to travel, as travel will be hazardous, especially tonight and tomorrow across highways in the Gila. That'll include New Mexico highways 15, 35, 152, and 90, as well as US 180. And depending on the timing and just how much snow falls, even a couple of inches of snow around Lordsburg could mean some accumulation on the heavily traveled parts of I-10 to the west of Deming. So needless to say, even though a lot of areas will be faced with nothing more than wind, cold, and a few snow flurries, this storm has the ability to be quite impactful, especially in parts of southwestern New Mexico and the higher terrain. That is why we do have winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. And you can keep up with the latest by following us on our social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, and of course on YouTube where you're watching this video. You can also visit us on the web at weather.gov El Paso, and we encourage our emergency managers and media partners to stay in NWS chat for the latest and for communication on this continuing to develop storm system.